Accidentally, my alien maid walked in on me. She froze when she saw what I was doing. The space station's recycled air hummed like a living thing as I sat alone in my cabin. It had been another long, monotonous day at Docking Bay 47, moving crates, signing manifests, and recalibrating the rusty scanners that kept breaking every other week. By the time I returned to my quarters, I felt the kind of exhaustion that seeps into your bones. I hadn't realized how lonely the place had gotten until a month ago when she arrived. Her name, at least the one I could pronounce, was Selah. She was from a species called the Therians, tall and lithe with translucent skin that shimmered faintly like oil on water. Her people had a reputation for precision and pride in their work, which made them excellent engineers, cleaners, and technicians. The company hired her as a live-in caretaker for the crew quarters after our last one retired. I hadn't spoken much to Selah beyond basic pleasantries. Her large, luminous eyes made her seem like she was constantly studying me, as if measuring every move I made. She was quiet, efficient, and always a little distant, though polite. Still, there was something about her presence in my cabin each morning, tidying the few things I left scattered around, that felt strangely comforting. Tonight, though, comfort was far from my mind. I was perched on the edge of my bunk, surrounded by old keepsakes, a half-cracked holoframe of my parents, my father's old flight badge, and a little wooden carving I'd brought from Earth. My fingers were stained with oil, and my hands trembled slightly as I worked on a small mechanical bird I'd been building in secret for weeks. It wasn't exactly regulation to have personal machinery in the quarters, and technically, we weren't allowed to tinker with non-station-issued parts. But the project was my escape. Every time I fitted a gear, polished a wing, or tightened a screw, I felt like I was back home, a boy at my father's workbench instead of a tired freight handler on a forgotten station. I'd just soldered a delicate wire when the door to my cabin hissed open without warning. "Selah, I told you." I started, but the words caught in my throat. There she stood, framed by the doorway, her eyes wide, her skin pulsing faintly with shifting colors, pink, then silver, then a muted blue. Her species' emotions were visible in their skin, and even without a translator, I could tell she was shocked. I froze, the soldering iron still glowing in my hand. The mechanical bird rested in pieces on my lap, like a secret spilled out. Selah's voice trembled through the translator pinned to her collar. You're building it." I blinked. "What?" She stepped inside slowly, as though approaching a wild animal. "The forbidden machine," she said softly. I frowned. "It's just a toy. A little clockwork bird. I've been working on it after shifts. It's not dangerous." But Selah didn't seem to hear me. She crouched low, her long fingers hovering over the pieces without touching them, her luminous eyes fixed on the delicate wings. This pattern, this craftsmanship, this is Therian. That made me pause. "What do you mean?" "I built this from scrap I found in the maintenance bay." She finally looked up, her skin flickering a bright gold, a sign of disbelief. "No, human. This is an ancestral design. Our people built these before we learned to travel the stars. We called them Sekara, little sky souls. Only the priest engineers knew the schematics. These were not toys. They were guardians of memory." I stared at her. "Guardians of memory?" She nodded slowly. "They hold recordings of a person's life, woven into their gears. When they fly, they sing the stories they carry." I looked down at the bird again, my stomach tightening. I had no idea. To me, it had been just a soothing project, a little piece of home. But to Selah, it was sacred. "I'm sorry," I said quietly. "I didn't know." For a long moment, Selah didn't respond. Her fingers twitched, then she reached out, brushing one of the wings lightly. Her skin shifted to a soft lavender, a color I'd never seen on her before. "You built this," she murmured, "with no guide, with no template." I nodded, a little defensive now. "I've always been good with machines. My dad taught me." "That's impossible," she said, almost to herself. "Your design, it's perfect." I shifted uncomfortably. "Well, perfect or not, it's not finished yet. I haven't even figured out the power core." Sayla's eyes glimmered. "I can help." I blinked at her. "Help? I thought you were angry." Her skin flickered from lavender to a gentle green. I was shocked. "But this is a sign. On my world, if someone rebuilds a sky soul without knowing, it means the spirits have chosen them to be a keeper." "A keeper? One who protects and shares the memories of others," she said softly. "It is a role of great honor." I chuckled nervously. "I'm just a dock worker, Sayla. Not some chosen anything." She tilted her head, studying me again with those luminous eyes. "Perhaps not yet." For the next hour, she stayed. Together, we bent over the pieces of the bird, and she showed me how the wings were supposed to fold, how the small resonator inside should be aligned. Her long fingers were steady and precise, moving like a dancer's. I found myself watching her more than the work, fascinated by how different she seemed from the distant maid I'd known these past weeks. At one point, I caught myself staring and quickly looked away. She didn't notice, or pretended not to. Finally, we fitted the last piece together. The bird sat in my palm, its metal body gleaming faintly in the low cabin light. "Now," Sayla whispered, "give it a name." I hesitated. "A name?" "Every sky soul has one," she said. "It will not sing until it knows who it is." I thought of my father, of his workbench, of the nights he'd stayed up teaching me how to fix things while the storms raged outside. "Alia," I said quietly, "after my mother." Sayla's skin shimmered a warm rose gold. "A beautiful name." I pressed a small button on the bird's back, and its wings slowly unfolded with a soft mechanical trill. Then it lifted from my hand and hovered, light as air. The sound that filled the cabin wasn't just a chirp, it was a melody, strange and haunting, like a lullaby from a place I'd never been. I felt my throat tighten. "It's singing." Sayla nodded, her eyes bright. "It remembers." I turned to her. "How?" "There's nothing inside it but gears, and..." She placed a hand lightly on my wrist, her touch cool but gentle. "Because you gave it life." For a long time, neither of us spoke. The bird circled the room once, then landed on the holoframe of my parents. Its wings folded neatly, and it went still. Sayla drew back slightly, her skin shifting to a deeper green now, something like reverence. "You are not just a worker, human. You are a keeper. Perhaps even a maker." I let out a shaky laugh. "I don't even know what that means." "It means," she said softly, "that you and I are no longer strangers." Something in her voice made me look up. Her usual distance was gone. Instead, there was an openness in her posture, a vulnerability I hadn't seen before. She had been alone on the station, too, I realized. An alien among humans, performing a quiet job no one thanked her for. I set the bird down and stood. "Sayla," I started, but I didn't know what to say. She smiled faintly, a small quirk of her lips. "You do not have to say anything. I am honored you let me see this."